Lipids serve three important roles in biology. Fatty acids and triacylglycerols serve as energy storage molecules. Glycerophospholipids and sphingolipids in the cell membrane act as selective barriers between the inside and the outside of the cell, and steroids function in the endocrine system and activate signaling pathways. We will be focusing on fatty acids, dietary fats, and the roles they play in ketogenic diets. First, the basic structure of a fatty acid molecule is a long hydrocarbon chain accompanied by a carboxylic acid group at the end, hence fatty acid. The hydrocarbon region is hydrophobic, meaning that it does not associate with water or aqueous environments in general. The carboxylic acid group is hydrophilic, meaning that it forms strong attractions to water molecules as a result of having a single negative charge at physiological pH, which is about 7.4. In the body, we store fats as triglycerides, or molecules of triacylglycerol. All that means is that three fatty acid molecules combine with one molecule of glycerol to form this compound. After they are synthesized, they are stored in the liver or in specialized cells called adipocytes, which form the fat tissue. Lipid droplets can occupy the entire volume of an adipocyte. Therefore, the size of adipocytes varies depending on the amount of stored triacylglycerol. As seen on the left side of the image, lipid droplets are surrounded by a phospholipid monolayer composed of proteins, which prevents hydrolysis of stored triacylglycerols, or in other words, the breakage of bonds via the addition of water. Now that you know about the basics of what fats are composed of, let's learn about different dietary sources of fats and their effects on the body.
Saturated fats are composed of only single bonds within the hydrophobic tail of the fatty acid. Single bonds allow for tighter packing of hydrophobic tails within the cell membrane due to a higher degree of intermolecular interactions. Therefore, they confer less membrane fluidity. On the contrary, unsaturated fats contain at least one double bond. These double bonds form kinks within the structure, increasing the distance between adjacent fatty acids and allow for greater membrane fluidity. The presence or absence of double bonds in fatty acids have significant dietary effects. Saturated fats raise the amount of LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, in your body. Primary sources of saturated fats are red meat, butter, ice cream, pizza, and whole-fat dairy products. Out of the recommended 2,000 calories consumed each day, the American Heart Association suggests limiting your consumption of saturated fats to 120 calories, which equates to about 13 grams a day. Unsaturated fats lower LDL cholesterol in the body. Both monounsaturated fats, which contain only one double bond, and polyunsaturated fats, which contain multiple double bonds, lower blood pressure, increase HDL, which is the good cholesterol, and lower triglycerides that are associated with heart disease and inflammation. The American Heart Association found that replacing 15% of calories of saturated fats with polyunsaturated fats can lower heart disease risk. An example of very healthy polyunsaturated fats are omega-3s. Omega-3s such as ALA, EPA, and DHA are very important for cardiovascular health. These fats must be consumed in the diet since humans cannot synthesize them on their own. They are found in fish, oils, nuts, seeds, and can also be taken in supplements. Omega-3s ease joint pain, reduce symptoms of depression, sharpen memory, and most importantly, reduce risks for heart disease, stroke, and cancer.
Fatty acids can also be divided into cis and trans conformations, which entail differences in structure as well as physical and chemical properties. Cis fatty acids have the two largest substituents on the same side of the double bond, thus they tend to be higher in energy due to steric hindrance. These fatty acids are the typical or natural form seen in unsaturated fats, and the double bonds is seen to create a kink, which determines whether it's a solid or liquid at room temperature. Cis conformation fatty acids are generally good for health and have lower melting points than trans fatty acids. Trans fats are lower in energy because the larger substituents of the fat are on opposite sides of the double bond, resulting in less steric hindrance, and very few of them have been seen to exist naturally. These are typically made through hydrogenation reactions, which simply convert unsaturated fats into fully saturated fats. The double bond of trans fatty acids does not create any kink in the fatty acid, making its structure very similar in shape to saturated fats. Therefore, these tend to have higher melting points and are solids at room temperature. Some trans fats occur in meat or dairy products, but the majority of them come from processed foods such as hydrogenated oils, making them unhealthy for humans. Healthy fats are unsaturated fats which contain at least one double bond, and as mentioned earlier, some examples may include olive oil and vegetable oil. On the other hand, unhealthy fats are usually saturated fats which do not contain any double bonds, and some examples include butter, beef, and cheese. In terms of cis and trans fats are even more unhealthy than saturated fats, even though they're considered to be a type of unsaturated fat. Trans fats are detrimental as they lower the good cholesterol and increase the level of bad cholesterol in your body. These fats are harmful to heart health and could cause cardiac death, as well as contribute to insulin resistance. Both saturated fats and cis-unsaturated fats are natural, and humans produce the necessary enzymes needed to metabolize them. However, there's no evidence that we are able to metabolize trans fatty acids.
We've been talking a lot about good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, so let's take a look at what that actually means. Here you see the structure of cholesterol. Cholesterol is a steroid, making it a lipid or fat composed of 4 linked hydrocarbons, which adds to its hydrophobic, nonpolar nature. Cholesterol is important in the body because it is used as a precursor for fat-soluble vitamins and steroid hormones, making vitamins such as vitamin D and hormones such as progestogens, glucocorticoids, and estrogens. It is needed by various cells in the body. This is where lipoproteins come in, pictured here. Lipoproteins help carry and transport cholesterol to the target cells. Lipoproteins are made of both proteins and fat. Let's look at 2 major ones in our body: low-density lipoprotein and high-density lipoprotein, also known as LDL and HDL. The composition of these lipoproteins vary. LDL contains more fat than they do protein. This gives LDL its bad reputation. On the other hand, HDL has a relatively equal number of proteins and fats, making it the good cholesterol. Both lipoproteins are present in the blood and help to transport cholesterol directly to the cells that need it. When the body has too much LDL, over time it can accumulate on the walls of the arteries, forming fatty deposits called plaque. Here you can see that plaque narrows the arteries and reduces blood flow. Foods rich in trans fatty acids, refined carbohydrates such as white sugar and flour, and alcohol all contribute to LDL. Risks include coronary heart disease and heart attacks. HDL, on the other hand, can help to modulate LDL. HDL's job is to remove excess cholesterol found in your cells, tissue, and plaque in your blood vessels and return it to your liver to be excreted with bile. Sources of HDL include omega-3 fatty acids found in foods such as fish and flax oil, and foods rich in fiber such as grains, oats, and bran.
Now, let's take a look at the ketogenic diet, or keto for short. Keto is an increasingly popular diet trend, and if you love your carbs, then this diet isn't for you. The keto diet requires that you consume no more than 20 to 30 grams of carbs a day, which for reference is about 1 apple's worth. The recommended daily intake for keto is 75% fat, 20% protein, and 5% carbs. How it works is that when you are consuming so few carbs a day, your body begins to run out of glycogen, which is the body's storage form of glucose, the preferred energy source. When this happens, your body starts breaking down fatty acids into ketone bodies that can be used for energy. At this point, you enter a state known as ketosis, in which ketone bodies replace glucose as the primary energy source for your body. The main ketone bodies that are produced are acetone, acetoacetic acid, and beta-hydroxybutyric acid, all containing at least 1 ketone group. Ketone bodies have shown to produce more energy per gram than glucose, allowing you to maintain efficient fuel production even in a caloric deficit. Studies have shown that the keto diet is an effective way to lose fat, often more effective than the popular low-fat diets. Rather than limiting your fat intake, you are actually training your body to become more efficient in breaking down fat for energy by making it your primary energy source. Keto is implicated in numerous health benefits, including but not limited to dampening risk for heart disease, reducing cancer progression, and treating symptoms of neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. It is especially important for treating diabetes as it greatly minimizes blood glucose and reduces the body's dependence on insulin to regulate blood sugar. Although the short-term effects are well documented, there have not been enough long-term studies done on it to assess its efficacy as a lifestyle. Regardless, it has proven to confer numerous health benefits while also being a very effective diet plan. And if you are willing to exchange donuts and cookies for steaks and guac, then this is the right diet for you.
In conclusion, fats get a bad reputation. They comprise essential nutrients and play many crucial physiological roles. You should definitely be sure to include a variety of healthy fats in your diet, but remember to consume in moderation, as too much of anything is a bad thing.